Hi, and welcome to Participial Adjectives by me, Carson White. So, what are participial adjectives? Participial adjectives are verb forms used to describe nouns. To use verbs as adjectives, they have to be either in their present participle and/or their past participle forms. The key is to remember which forms are being used to describe people, things, or both. For example, number 1, it says, I'm interested in meeting the new ENL teacher. That's in the past participle. Number 2, it says, her classes seem to be interesting. That's in the present participle. Both sentences are using the verb to interest, while the first sentence is being used to describe people or person, the noun, the new ENL teacher, while the second sentence is being used to describe a thing, which is her classes. Let's go more into the past and present participles. Contrasting participial adjectives. Now that we know that these adjectives come from verbs that either end in ed or ing, these adjectives can also describe feelings. Using the verb amazed, we can look at another example of how it's being used in both the present participle and the past participle. In the first sentence, amazed is used in the circus is amazing, while the second sentence is using amazed in the audience was amazed when the acrobats performed on the tightrope. Based on the previous slide and maybe your own prior knowledge about present and past sentences, which sentence do you think is using the present participle and what sentence is using the past participle? You can use your chats. If you put that the present participle was for the first sentence, the circus is amazing, you would have gotten that correct. You might have known it because it's using is amazing. So it seems like it's in a more present form. It is happening right now. While in the second sentence, was amazed was using the past participle, the ed. And you might have known that from the hint, was amazed. Was amazed in the past. They were amazed. Past participle is used to talk about how someone feels. It has a passive meaning. How do you think this child feels right now? Using an ed word. You might have put excited. The present participle adjective is used to talk about the thing, the person, the situation that causes that feeling. Like that baby before was excited maybe because her mother was exciting her. It has an active meaning. So these students are bored, ed, passive, because their teacher is what? That's active. Most of you probably put boring. I hope I'm not boring you. Let's practice. Complete this sentence with your own contrasting participial adjectives and tell me which one is the present participle and which is the past participle. If roller coasters make you feel blank, then they are what? I think a lot of you might have put, if roller coasters make you feel excited, then they are exciting. Distinguishing participial adjectives and verbs. We touched upon how participial adjectives can be used as verbs. In the chat, let's take a shot at which is which. Number 1, the baby's cries are annoying the tired travelers. And number 2 says the baby's cries are annoying and the travelers are tired. I'm sure we all typed in our answers. So let's see how we can tell which sentence is using annoying as a verb and which is using annoying as an adjective. We can use things like the very test. In number 1, the baby's cries are annoying the tired travelers. That was the verb. And number 2, the baby's cries are annoying and the travelers are tired. So if you got those correct, give yourself a pat on the back. Using the very test, it's a simple way to figure out whether or not an ing or an ed word is being used as an adjective and not a verb. How you do this is just to insert the word very before the word. In the examples above, when you insert very, you can see which sentence makes sense, right? When I read it out loud, you're going to hear, well, that doesn't sound right, or yeah, that sounds right. The baby's cries are very annoying the tired travelers. That doesn't sound good. Number 2, the baby's cries are very annoying and the travelers are tired. So we use the very test and we could figure it out. But what happens when the very test doesn't always work? Sometimes when you insert very before some participial adjectives, it does not sound correct. Another way to distinguish words that end in ed or ing into if it's a verb or if it's an adjective is to look at the sentence structure. So, the annoyed baby cried on the train. Looking at the sentence structure and in the chat, why do we know why annoyed is being used as an adjective based on where it is in the sentence? If you said it's because it was right before the noun, you'd be correct. Now, there's a bunch of learner difficulties when it comes to participial adjectives. The first one that we're going to talk about is that both native speakers and English language learners have difficulty recognizing participial adjectives as adjectives instead of verbs. Understandable. Confusing words that end in ing as either verbs or adjectives is a very typical mistake. An example of why it could be confusing is the Patriots are winning the game. What do we think that one is? An adjective or a verb? If you said verb, you'd be correct. But in the second one, winning is also in that same sentence. So, the Patriots are the winning team. But we know that that's the adjective because it comes before the noun, team. It's very confusing and it's understandable why our students would be having difficulty with this. So again, we can go back to using the very test or reminding them to look at the structure of the sentence like we practiced before. Another major difficulty English language learners have when it comes to participial adjectives is distinguishing between the contrasting ing and ed forms that we talked about earlier. Remember those? Bored / boring. The students are bored because the teacher's boring. So they don't understand when to put which one in the sentence. Like we don't say the map is confused. or Tom is confusing, we would say the map is confusing and Tom is confused. And we would explain that to our students by reminding them that the present participial adjective used the ing, and that has the more active meaning. So the map is confusing. That's more active. While the past participle adjective ed has the passive meaning. Tom is confused, or Tom was confused. Another difficulty that makes matters even worse is when the present participle, not the past participle, can also function as a noun in a sentence. So another ing word, cooking, can be fun. Cooking is the noun, while be is the verb. And eating ice cream gives me a headache. Eating ice cream is a whole noun phrase. Well, give is the verb. Lastly, another difficulty is that sometimes learners become confused when they encounter words that have the ing ending, but it's not an inflectional ending, how the other ones have been. So words can include wedding, nothing, bring. Can you think of another example of a word that ends in ing, but the ing ending is not an inflectional ending? You might have put icing, pudding, morning. So I hope that you think that participial adjectives are fun, or at least a little bit more clear. And I hope that I've made you a little bit more confident in participial adjectives. And if we have any questions, you can write them in the chat or say them right now, right before we get into our quiz. Bye, guys.